I would think that you would have a vested interest in also preserving the canon of what you've created, rather than them coming in
Yeah,
and saying, you know what, this Stargate thing, it's not like a Star Wars or a Star Trek. We can blank slate it, and
yeah,
no one will complain.
yeah. I'm maybe not the best defender of the canon out there.
Okay.
Maybe this is heresy to say this, but I don't. Oh my, sorry, my cat is coming in through the
No, it's
cat window.
okay. Cats can cat.
I can hear him scratching at the door because he's irritated that I had him locked out. Now he's like calling him. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you?"
Aw,
There he is. This is
hello.
Freddie.
It's
Say hello to everybody.
Freddy.
Say hello, Freddie. He's like,
It's
"What?"
beautiful.
Anyway, you go away now. He's going to irritate me through this whole thing now.
Of course.
Now he's in the locked room with me. So anyway.
That's
I
funny.
forgot that he has his own little door to get in
Oh,
whenever he
that's
wants.
funny. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
We're talking about the canon.
Oh, yeah, the canon. Okay, so the problem is the canon is massive, right? It's massive.
Yeah.
Like this was part of my process preparing for this because, I haven't talked about, I don't do a lot of interviews, so I haven't kept up. I haven't constantly talked about Stargate for the last 10 years. So there's a gap there for me. So I'm like, I should look up some of this stuff and remind myself what we did. It was like the last time we talked about Universe, that was much easier because Universe was A, later, closer in my memory, and B, much smaller. There's only 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. I can sort of encapsulate all of Universe in my head at one time or close to it. Stargate, I can't even come close. I started to look through it and I was like, oh my God. Like I had sort of forgotten, honestly, the scope of the show.
Yeah. You have to take it one bite at a time.
Because when you're making it, you don't think about that, right?
No.
It's like the next episode, what's the season finale? Like, okay, what's the opening for the next season? It's like you're in this process. You're not thinking about, but then when it's over, you look over your shoulder and there's 10 years of episodes behind you. Yeah. And an incredible variety of ideas and villains and, canon. Like the canon is massive. So
you guys did 120 shows in 3 years.
Yeah.
That is insane. That's insane by any modern margin.
It's not really done anymore. No, it's not done anymore. And we can talk about that because Stargate really, I think we've brought this up before, but it really sort of straddled a huge transformation in how television is made, how television is sold, how television is watched. It really did start in one era and then in a completely different era and survived through that, which I am impressed by that too. Just the fact that we survived those changes. But yeah, I mean, I almost feel like you have to start with a bit of a blank slate in terms of the canon because it's just too much baggage. It's just too much to
I understand.
To bring with you if you're starting a new show. Like I think people have got to give them that. You've got to say, okay, look, this exists. Stargate, SG-1 and Universe and Alliance are going to continue to exist. People can watch it whenever they want to watch it. This will still have the name Stargate and it'll be different. And that's okay. Like, I want to say it's okay for it to be different. It's okay for it. One of the things I don't like about, some of like Star Trek and Star Wars and a lot of these more recent sort of reiterations of it is they kind of tend to wallow in their own stuff. They don't move forward, especially Star Wars. Like it drove me crazy when Star Wars started to kind of come back. And after the episodes 1, 2, and 3, which I pretend don't exist anyway, they didn't go forward. They continued to rehash. It's like Rogue One and Solo, and
well, even the sequel trilogy. It's like the Empire didn't go away. The First Order just
exactly. It's like
its okay, like where did they come from?
Time for a new villain. Why not?
Yeah.
Why does it always have to be the Empire? Maybe there's a villain. I mean, they have alien creatures in that universe. Mm-hmm. Come up with something else. Move forward. You've got this incredible canvas, this dedicated audience and tons of resources. Do something with it other than rehash the same stuff. And so I kind of would feel that way a little bit about Stargate as well. It's like, sure, I want them to be respectful and everything, but honestly, I want to see new stuff.
Right.
There's science fiction. It's especially that freaking round gate. It's the most open concept you can possibly imagine in science fiction,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can go in, you can just do anything you want. And so I personally would want to see them sort of go forward and not just rehash the same stuff.
I think that they can. I think that they can do it. It's interesting because there's a this. If you want to tell Earth-based stories and you want to tell Stargate stories, you can either reset the discovery of the gate, or you have to maintain its continuity of where it's been throughout our history in terms of what you guys established. It's only at specific locations throughout history, and so if we're going to move it forward in time, we're going to have to either change its location up, or and just acknowledge, O'Neill and some of these other players that were part of the history. But that's been 20 years now. Those guys, a lot of them are just retired. And then tell a story from there, or hit the big red reset button. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I
personally would hit the big red reset button.
You yourself would.
Yeah, I would. Again, I don't see it as being disrespectful to the canon or anything like that. I see it as people wanting to see new stories. That's all. And the canon it's almost like if you wanted to start Stargate 20 years in the future from where we started it, like you said, all that stuff is still there, which means you have to service it. And it's just too much.
Yeah.
There's the Asgard and Anubis and
all the technology we had been given, what are the stakes?
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's maybe I'm saying the wrong thing here, but I personally would like it to be like Stargate in the creative sense of, like you said, having humor, having relatable characters who are contemporary that people get. Those are the key elements. The canon evolved because we were telling stories with these people in this gate. We didn't set out to create a canon, right? We set out to create good episodes, and over time that formed a canon. But that's not why we made the show, right? To have this huge mythology. It just evolved out of doing episodes of television that were good episodes of television. Yeah. So I would want them to take, whoever's doing the new Stargate, I would want them to take the same approach.
It's interesting, though. I mean, it's kind of like a snake eating its tail. I continually come across new Stargate fans, even someone that I told this recently with Andy Frizzell, haven't seen since kindergarten at a reunion, and he found out what I do, and he had started watching Stargate just a few days before, and now he's on like season 8, and he loves it. So you may have been doing it with the intention of creating great television. You left a canon as a result, and that's what a lot of people keep on coming back for again and again. So it's kind of like, I can understand where they don't want it scrubbed, because a lot of people have the mindset of whatever is currently on, that is what exists. And if you're not in service to what came before, then that is considered dead. And I think that those are frankly too rigid. Even though I may agree with the perception, I think that perception is frankly too rigid. That because it's not currently being serviced on television, it must be dead. Whatever the canon is.
I agree. I mean, like I said, that it's not like the shows are going to disappear. Right. It's not like they're changing the timeline and Stargate SG-1 with the character that we wrote, with the actors that we worked with, suddenly disappears and doesn't exist anymore. It's still out there. You can still watch it. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, Star Trek did this too, right? They rebooted
the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah, and it's a new timeline. And so does that mean the original series is gone? No, I watch it all the time. It's still on TV every day.
The merchandise still sells really well.
I turn on cable. So, and I still like it. I still enjoy it. So I don't see it as being that big of a problem.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.